group together and they go to war. And they go to war in the Valley of Siddem. And the Valley of Siddem have slime pits in them, natural occurring slime pits. And they wage war, and these kings, the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah and all of these other states, they fall. They lose the war. Now, in order for you to understand how monumental this is a huge war. Like, there was no war like this. This is the biggest war of the Old Testament. This war right here. And this is the war that puts Abram really on the map. Because Abram don't have a dog in this fight. He doesn't care. The nations that are warring are outside of the house of Israel. When we look at Nimrod, king of Shinar, we already know the story of Nimrod. We went over that. He was a Hebrew. By nature he is, but he's been turned. He's not aligned to the house of Israel any longer. He's not aligned to the house of Israel. He's turned his back. He's convoluted the sacred nature of the house. He's been turned. When we look at Arioch, king of Elasar, he's not a Gentile. Nimrod is not a Gentile. Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, is not a Gentile. Yet Tidal, king of nations, is. How do we know this? When you look at this in the Apocrypha, I've been looking at videos on this just to refresh myself to it, because I paid attention to this for quite some time. Did I not do that? I paid attention to this for quite some time, but I hadn't brushed up on it. When we look at Tidal, king of nations, why does it say that? Well, in the book of Jasher, the story is the same as the Judeo-Christian Bible, but it's a little bit more detail-oriented. It says here in the book of Jasher, chapter 16, verse 1, at the time, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, sent to all the neighboring kings to Nimrod, king of Shinar, who was then under his power, and to Tidal, king of Goyim. That's interesting. And to Arioch, king of Eliezer, with whom he made a covenant, saying, come up to me and assist me, that we may strike all the towns of Sodom and its inhabitants, for they have rebelled against me this 13 years. And these 4 kings went up with their camps, about 800,000 men. This is how I know that these other kings were not the Gentile nations. The Gentile nations are the nations of the Goyim. These created individuals that I spoke to in the past. Maybe I'll do something else on the Goyim. Remember, I spoke to the creation of these beings. They brought these beings. These beings were brought into existence because they were birthed with no karma. There was a huge issue at one time with this whole karmic debt thing. It seemed as if there had reached a pinnacle within the walk of the Hebraic house and just people in general, non-Hebrews, of amassing substantial amounts of karmic debt. Activities that you had to pay for, that didn't serve you. And it was as if they would not be able to overcome the karmic debt They were always in a deficit because lifetimes and lifetimes of amassing such debt just follow you. Even it seems as if even in lifetimes they were not able to come from up under karmic debts that they had accrued just within that life cycle. That's how monumental the karmic debt was. So someone, I'm not going to get into that in this Bible study, but some group of people decided to create these goyim beings born into the world without any karmic debt. They mastered the art of creating a being with zero karma. Title, King of Nations, is a king of this group of people. So we see the Gentiles and we see those that are non-Gentile coming together to wage war against the inhabitants of this particular region that share one valley, the Valley of Siddem. And what happens is, in them coming against